It's day 3 of a year facing fear, and today is all about facing my fear of heights. And it's been something that I've been working on for the last, I'm in term 2 now, so I don't know, like 11 weeks, and I've been doing trapezing. So it may seem crazy to do that when you're scared of heights, but for me, it's something that I tried. It was about 7 years ago when I was first working on Love Destination, and I was shitting myself. I felt completely and totally out of my depth. Everything just seemed really hard. And so I wanted a reminder that fear often isn't real. It's real because it feels real. It feels frightening because we tell ourselves it's what we fear. So that's why some people can jump out of the plane and have that physiological response, which is, the same when we're nervous and excitement. It's actually the same physiological response, and frame it as, oh, yay, I'm excited. And other people are going to jump out of a plane and think, oh my God, I'm going to die. And I was definitely the, oh my God, I'm going to die variety. And I can trace it back, I think, now having thought about it, to when I was really young. My brother, Davey, we lived in Perth, and we had this big football oval across the road. And there were, I don't know, those, what are they called? Like those stands where spectators sit and watch the game, and they sort of go up in these rungs, and they're quite high. And mum was at work, dad, I don't know if he was home, I think he might have been, and Davey and I were playing in the park, and he was and still is an adrenaline junkie, and would walk on the top of the scaffolding, and that used to scare the crap out of me. I remember getting that visceral, it would be like a wave of panic and adrenaline and cortisol, and for me it would, like, danger. I would have all my whole body and brain thinking, don't die. And I still get that when somebody does something dangerous, even if I see someone doing, which is ironic because now I'm doing trapeze, even when I see someone doing something dangerous, I get that visceral threat response, and I'm paralyzed. So if you're ever in an emergency and you need someone to help you, I'm not your girl. But he fell. So he was standing on the top of this sort of rusty corrugated iron, and he fell, and he hit one of the poles that were holding up, the stand, and he had this massive, massive gash on his forehead, and there was blood everywhere. And when I'm really, really scared, like really scared, I freeze. And so I'm of no use to anyone. My brain just left the building. And I remember feeling just so scared, and remembering that feeling that I was going to get into so much trouble, that we were going to get into so much trouble. And I don't know if that's where my fear of heights comes from or not. About 6% of the population, research tells us, has a phobia. And I'm not in the phobia category, but about 28% of us, and more women, believe it or not, than men, and I'll put a link to that research, have this aversion to heights, and that was me. So I don't like to stand next to the window in a tall building. The first time I did trapezing, I went with my beautiful friends, Natasha and Natty. Big kiss to you. Thank you for coming with me. And I stood on the top. It took me ages to go climb up the ladder firstly, and I stood on the top of that platform, and I'm playing the footage now. It's embarrassing. And I couldn't breathe. My whole body tensed up. I felt as though I was going to die, and I was holding on to that metal railing for my dear life, and I was crouched in, and I was holding on, and I had my head ducked. If I could have gone into the fetal position, I would have, but believe me, I was not going to get any closer to falling off that platform. So I was just going to hold on. And I remember then feeling not only the fear of falling because it's high, and even though you're supported with clips, that fear of falling was still really there for me, and just feeling like I might die, to be honest. But also that fear of, if I can't do this and jump, I'm going to have to climb back down the ladder, and then I'm going to make a fool of myself. So day 3 was about I've been working on facing that fear. And everyone else at Fly Factory, big shout out to them because they're amazingly supportive. everyone who's in the lesson, there's sometimes between 3 and 6 of us who do the lesson each week, sometimes twice a week if you miss a class. And they're amazing. Like, they are there doing these like double layouts, and they're full, and I am, however many weeks in, I'm still absolutely crap. Like, absolutely crap. I'm still shitting myself. But day 3, I tried a new trick, and the reason for this video is sometimes with fear we crash and burn. Sometimes it's a case of 1 step forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Sometimes it's 1 step forward, 5 steps back. And that's just part of the journey, right? It's not linear. We're gradually getting over our fears. And some days we can really manage our physiological response, that feeling that comes up. And sometimes we can't. Sometimes our mindset is all over the place. Sometimes we're just feeling really crap about ourselves, and that is also going to affect how we feel. Sometimes we're just feeling really anxious. And so I almost didn't give myself time to think about it. For me, it was, like 3, 2, 1, let's go. I love the Mel Robbins 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 launch, because that's what I did. So I tried this new, what do you call it? This new trick. It's called a planche, which in French just means plank. And it's friggin' scary. But the reason I did this is because I have a lot of trouble getting my feet under the bar, and I'm like bang, bang, bang. And this just seemed like an easier option for me. But sometimes, and I don't know, post a comment below if you are scared of heights and what you do to get over it. But for me, we know that exposure therapy, so gradually exposing yourself to what you're scared of in a safe environment, and there's lots of different ways that exposure therapy is done. We know that gradually, the research tells us that gradually that physiological response, the associations are dampened or weakened. And for me as well, it actually creating a new positive experience to replace that old sort of association of heights being something that's going to kill us, basically, has been shown to actually help us reduce that response. And so me doing trapeze in a really safe environment, fantastic. So I got up there, got up my ladder, actually getting much easier to climb up that ladder. And I just did it. I didn't give myself enough time to think. But because I was still scared, my brain wasn't working. So what happens when we're scared is when our amygdala is activated. It almost, well, it does, not almost. It shuts down. The prefrontal cortex is not coming to the party unless we're consciously thinking about what we're doing and creating a new narrative. But often what happens is the threat response is very, very fast, much, much faster than we actually have time to think. And it affects our cognition, our ability to think, our ability to hear, our ability to see, and affects what we see around us. And for me, I was so scared that when they were giving me instructions as to what to do and when to let go, I didn't listen. I actually could not hear them. And so I did my planche, but then it felt like I had been holding on for so long. And at that point I started to panic. And so I let go. And I'll show you now, it was like Superman. Whee! I went flying. I had a few bruises a few days later on my feet because I landed, and then a sore arm because I landed sort of. Luckily, it's very, very safe, supportive, and they have the nets and they can catch you. But I did it. And afterwards, I got back up and I did it again. And I didn't do a Superman. I still didn't nail the trick, and I probably won't nail the trick for a long, long time. But I did it. I just want to say thank you so much for joining me on this journey. And also thank you for all of your amazing comments and all of your support and your love. I can't tell you, God, you're beautiful. I can't tell you how much I appreciate your support. And I also want to be there to support you. So follow along, leave your comments. Let's start a conversation about the things that scare us, and baby step, one by one, tiny little baby steps. Let's face our fears together. You can share this video if you like, or jump into the Facebook group, A Year Facing Fear, and then we can talk more about the science and mindset tips and neuroscience and neurobiology around fear, and also just really our personal experiences so that we can do this together. I just realized I haven't introduced myself. My name is Katia Loisel. I'm a connection body language specialist and coach, mum of two, doggy mum, cat mum. Always forget Abby. It's not fair. And embarking on a year facing fear. And I want to say until next time, thank you for joining me. I believe in you. I see you, and you have totally got this. From me and Bobby, say bye. Mwah. Bye.